Welcome to the Grief Pod with Venetia Quick. This is a weekly podcast which looks at every aspect of something which has or will at some point affect us all. And that is grief. Whether you've lost a loved one or about to lose someone you know, or perhaps you're simply trying to help someone navigate their grief and don't know where to start or what to say, then perhaps this is the podcast for you. Each week I'll be bringing you different stories and experiences of loss, love, hope and at times humour. Jack Ebbs lost his cousin Jenny O'Riordan when she was just 26 years old to sudden cardiac death. Now on this week's episode of the Grief Pod, Jack joins me to talk about Jenny, what sudden cardiac death is and why he's passionate about raising awareness to save others. Jack, first of all, thank you so much for coming on this week. Now, Jenny died in May 2002 when you were quite small. So what are your memories of her?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I was 10 years old when Jenny died, so obviously there's a few memories that really stand out. But I just remember our lives really changed significantly after that. Jenny had been living with cardiomyopathy for a few years before she'd passed away, so it was something the family was aware of. Never seemed to bother her. You know, she lived life as normal, but definitely after the death, it was just never the same. My memories of her and everyone's memories was always just like this, outgoing, happy, loving person. There's always two memories that stuck out to me for sure. Was when they lived in Shelton Gardens. I sat on her lap and I used to be up in her room drawing and colouring with her, and the smile just always stands out to me in my mind of her memory. And to everyone else, Jenny was referred to Jenny Jules. She was the favourite in the family. My nana was absolutely adored her. She spent a lot of time with my nana. She used to stay there nights before Jenny would go to work. She'd stay over with nana and mind her. I used to think I was a little bit of the favourite, but I was a bit of a brat. Jenny was by far the favourite.
And was she, because she'd just come back from the States as well when she passed away.
So the night she passed away, it's kind of mad. She had just been home from a holiday and then was looking to book another holiday with her friend Sinead. And Sinead was actually caring for her mother at the time, who actually passed away a few weeks later, which was quite obviously a difficult time for her. Me and my family, my parents and my two brothers had just come from home from Mallorca as well. Her parents, Kate and Jerry, had also just come home from, I think it was Edinburgh at the time, and it was Jerry's 50th birthday that night. So we came in that night, and I still remember very well, getting into bed. We got in late. We all must have missed each other by an hour or so, I think my mum said, when we were in the airport. And then my mum got the call, obviously. I think there was always a part of the family was always worried that call was going to happen. That call came in, and I kind of remember, just my mum getting up and going quickly. She went to get my auntie. They went to Blanchardstown Hospital to, Jerry was obviously there, her father, and so that was a tough night. Yeah,
and how did, that's hugely, obviously, impactful on your family for the last 23 years. I mean, somebody who's this vibrant and front and centre in a family, for that to be, that presence to be gone and for Jenny to be gone. How have your family coped in the past 23 years with their loss?
Yeah, it's difficult. I think anyone coping with trauma and grief life is never going to be the same again, and it had a devastating impact on the family, and we would never be the same, or could never be the same again. My mum's side of the family had, they had to deal with a lot. They had a lot of loss in the family as well before even Jenny passed away. So there's a lot of trauma they're, dealing with already. So I think with the impact after Jenny, it was just pure utter devastation for a long time. And obviously for her mum, her brother JJ, had the biggest impact on them. I think for Kate, my auntie and my godmother, Jenny's mother, watching, then Jenny's friends grow up, get their own family, live their lives, things that Jenny should have done that she never got to do. I think those things for the wider family were always difficult to take.
Milestones.
Yeah, exactly, the milestones.
And are they still in touch with a lot of her friends? Or?
Yeah, to be fair, some of her really good friends, like Sinead in particular, she always stayed in touch, and Kate always stayed in touch with her. So Kate always loved people to bring Jenny up or to talk about her, and there was a few friends, and still is, that stay in touch with her, and she really appreciates that.
So she's not forgotten.
Yeah.
For a little fella like you at the time when you're 10 and you have this, I suppose, big older cousin that sort of dotes in you. What did you understand about what was going on? I mean, because for you, did you just, your day to day must have changed if your mother was grieving, your aunt, your godmother was grieving.
Yeah, I actually thought about this a lot recently. I remember like so much around the time after the death, being in my godmother's house, being at the funeral. I remember the speeches. I remember, my cousin trying to deliver the eulogy, and I remember just like sadness, the crying, being in the house before the funeral, after the funeral. I definitely didn't understand the gravity of it at the time or take it all in, but I'd also been through a couple of those experiences before as a young, like witnessing family funerals and stuff like that. So, but again, didn't take in the gravity, I think, at the time, but definitely knew there was so much sadness. And then after that, my cousin raced cars, so him and my uncle would have been away for a lot of the weekend, so I would have stayed with my godmother. So, being with her through all that time, I definitely would have experienced a lot of like sadness with her, being through like the ups and downs that she would have went through at the weekends when we stayed over.
Yeah, no, it is. It's sort of, you forget sometimes the impact that has on sort of, maybe it's the same maybe when grandparents pass away. People don't really think about the grandchildren as much because they're sort of the next generation down, but there is that connection as well. So she was so young, and I mean, you were talking about her friends and the milestones and the stuff that they've achieved, and perhaps kids and getting married and that sort of stuff. Is that something that her mum finds difficult, or is that something she still refers to?
I would say at the start, probably the first couple of ones were definitely difficult, but I think Kate just really appreciates now that they stay in touch, that she can see them living their lives, be happy, do the things that Jenny didn't get to do, and she gets to be maybe a little bit part of that, or kind of live through that a little bit in a sense. So she's always been really appreciative of those who've stayed in touch, and like, watching them grow up, get kids, get marriages. Yeah.
Tell me about cardiomyopathy. What is it, and how does it, I suppose, manifest?
I don't have a huge amount of, obviously I'm no medical experience. Sorry, so I don't know a whole lot about cardiomyopathy. I think once I got the kind of all clear, I never really had to speak to it or kind of worry about it again.
Yeah, like but it's a genetic thing. So
yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a term used to describe heart muscle disease, but there's lots of different types of the conditions. But it kind of basically makes it harder for your heart to pump blood to the rest of your body.
Okay, so this was something that was known with Jenny, though?
It was known for a few years. I think she was in Trinity College when she got diagnosed, so she had been living with it. I think they knew this could be, a potential outcome, but I think for Jenny it was just, life was normal, like move on, kick on, like live life, go travel, go shopping, do the things she loved to do.
Yeah, and was there something that triggered it at the end, or did it?
No, I think that's just part of the disease. It just happens. It just happens,
yeah. When a family is tested, obviously, it's the same with, if there's something genetic in the family, the immediate thing is we all go and get tested. Yeah. They call you in and they do tests on you. What sort of tests did they do?
Yeah, so I can speak from my own tests and what I did. And again, you would have to always go through your doctor first, and the doctor, your GP would then refer you. But for me, what I did was an echo, a stress test, and an ECG. So an ECG is electrocardiogram, and it checks for the heart's electrical activity at rest. So normally, like, a clinician puts small sticky pads on your arms and your chest and legs, and the leads clip onto a pad to record your heartbeat for a short snapshot. It's painless, and it's quick. Then an echocardiogram checks for the structure and the movement of your heart's muscles, valves, chambers, and any structural issues, for example, any murmurs or valve leaks. Again, an ultrasound gel is put in your chest, and then handheld probe is put around to capture images. So, the doctor on the side or the clinician can get your results. Yeah. And then an exercise stress test, or an ECG, is checking your heart's electrical patterns to respond to exhaustion. Again, and you're kind of put on a treadmill and you're made run, and they kind of see how your heart, kind of reacts.
So it's quite rigorous.
Yeah,
really.
it is. Yeah. But again, all these tests can differ from people to people as well. Some people might also be asked to wear a Holter monitor, I think it's called, which is like a small portable device to record heart rhythm, continuously for like 24 to 48 hours, or up to a week, depending on what your symptoms are. Again, I didn't have to do this, thankfully, but so testing generally takes about 2 hours of your day, but it's quite unique because like once everything is done, the on-site consultant then gives you the results before you even leave, the office on the day.
Wow, so it's quick. So
Yeah.
it's nearly like something everybody should do as well. You wonder, if you've concerns.
Yeah, I think for sure if there's any kind of history in the family, or if you have any heart concerns, just go to your GP. They would be the right person then to refer you. Again, Cry are doing this, for free without funding, so like they can't just take anyone off the street. You can't just kind of walk in and say, you kind of got to go through your doctor, get referred, and kind of go through the right channels.
Yeah. For you and your family as well, like aside from the testing, you're encouraging people to be more heart and health aware. From obviously heart, testing, but from a health point of view, how do you, what would you like people to know or do?
I think don't second guess anything that you might feel is irregular, or if is there any issues previously in the family that haven't been addressed before, go and get them checked again. Like with Jenny, these things can just come on. You might think it'll never affect you, but like these things happen to people. So I would say if you have any concerns around your heart, if you've had any issues, any family history as well, go to your GP, get checked with them, get referred to Cry, for peace of mind as well as anything else. I think they're kind of important, just to always be conscious that if there is a concern, best to get it checked.
Yeah. So a few months ago on the podcast, we talked to a lady called Joanne Ryan, and she lost her partner Killian to sudden cardiac failure. She came home one night and Killian had passed away. Now, he was incredibly fit and healthy, so which I suppose was the big shock because they had no idea. Is this one of the things, I guess, that people are most shocked about when it comes to this sort of death?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've heard of countless cases over the years where it's been like a fit and healthy person, never sick, never any issues before, and all of a sudden this has come on. So, and I think that's probably one of the harder things to process when there is a death, is that if someone is sick or sick for a long time, you're nearly kind of expecting that outcome eventually. So you're kind of preparing for it maybe at the back of your mind. But when it's a sudden death, it's like it's not expected. You don't that's a harder thing, I think, to process. All of a sudden, your life gets turned upside down.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of it doesn't bear thinking about in one way, because it's sort of, especially normally people are so young as well when this happens. Let's talk about Cry Ireland. Yeah. This is the charity that provides support and services for families that are affected by sudden cardiac death. And Joanne spoke to me about the amazing and vital work that they do. Perhaps you'd talk us through what they do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, and Joanne's right. It is an amazing and crucial charity. So Cry's mission and vision is essentially to prevent sudden cardiac arrest in young people in Ireland, and then ensure families across the island affected by sudden cardiac death or inherited cardiac conditions can access free cardiac screening and emotional support. So Cry was set up by Michael Green following the death of their 16-year-old son Peter from sudden cardiac arrest. At the time, there wasn't any information about it, so Michael kind of went looking for information, couldn't find it. So him and his wife Mary then went and set up Cry. Mary then also ultimately trained and ran a helpline along with Cry. So the connection with my family was my mum and Michael worked together in Homebond before that. So after Peter passed away, my mum then wanted to help Michael with, Cry, and she couldn't do a whole lot, but what she said she could do was I'll go and do the admin work. So she started doing admin. Then obviously Jenny passed away. Wow.
So it's where your mum was meant to be.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was, and now like a decade later, like my mum is the CEO of the charity. So which was amazing. But Jenny also spent the summer working with Michael in home bond, and like that was her summer job and a gap year in school. So Michael obviously was, knew Jenny well and was very fond of her. So then obviously after that, Jenny also went to work for KPMG a long time. I think they're now referred to as Bearing Point, and Deirdre Hanley was her manager at the time. And shout out to Deirdre, because when Jenny passed away, KPMG were like, we'll do whatever we can to help support this. And obviously Michael was like, I have no idea about websites and the internet, so if you guys could do something about that, that'd be great. So they actually set up a website, hosted it for Cry, and still do to this day. And I think every year they also still do fundraisers for Cry in this day in Jenny's memory, and that's like 23 years ago. So
that's incredible. So it's the practical way of helping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Cry is now based in Tala University Hospital, and as I said, it provides access to clinical assessments and screening to individuals who've suffered, or families have suffered from sudden cardiac death. And
it's all obviously funded by people like you that are going out and raising money. Before we get onto that, how many people roughly in Ireland are affected by this? Do we have stats as to
is 2 young people a week die from
2 young people a week?
2 young people
and
a week
we're
die.
talking age gap anywhere between 12 up, I guess, or
I don't know the age. I know it's 2 a week.
Still,
it's an awful lot.
2 a week.
Yeah. So they're not going to affect the family, friends, circles, etc.
And when you think younger people as well are possibly, without wanting to be ageist here, but more likely to be involved in clubs and have younger children perhaps. And wow, that is a lot of people. Yeah,
and it can have huge impacts on family. Like, I won't mention it, but a friend of mine, his cousin passed away, and her own father as well, like within the space of, I don't want to, maybe it was a few weeks or a few months. Like, it was a huge thing. Like, these things can happen. Like, you don't think they will, but they can, and so it can have a devastating effect.
Yeah, and also in the wider community as well. Yeah. So it is something that we need to be more proactive about and need to be more, I suppose, educated about as well.
For sure.
Funding, because this is where you come in as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're about to do the marathon. How's the training going?
It's going good, yeah.
Yeah.
Looking forward to kind of just it being done and having maybe a little bit less running to do. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's sort of that terrified. I always describe it as being before you're about to give birth, actually, because you're absolutely, you're so excited, but you're terrified at the same time.
Yeah.
It's sort of, but you're hoping, or you're planning, because you've done other fundraising events for Cry. What have you done previously?
Last year I did the Waterford Marathon, and I did the Clontarf Half Marathon. Previously to that, I've cycled the Ring of Beara and cycled the Ring of Kerry and the West Portive cycle, all in kind of aid of Cry.
Wow. And how much did you raise?
Last year I raised 1,055 for the Ring of Kerry. I think it was like 500, and it was something similar for Beara.
Amazing. So that goes towards all the screenings and everything for Cry. Do you have a goal this time for the marathon?
Yeah, I would like ideally to raise 1,000. I'm also conscious that I've done a lot of fundraising over the last few years. I'm hitting the same kind of people. It's a cost of living crisis as well as a cost of everything crisis at the moment. So I'm trying, within my limitations, I don't want to push people too much. But I would love to get 1,000, because as you said, Cry is reliant on donations.
And with that many people a week, it's really, really important. Yeah. It's going to be very emotional for you on the day. I mean, the marathon is a very emotional event as it is, because there's so many people who are there raising funds for maybe people they've lost or charities that are very important to them. So how are you doing it, I guess, to keep Jenny's memory alive? What will that be like on the day?
I'd be proud coming over the finish line, I think. I always am, and I'm always thinking of her in the last, I don't know,
few miles.
A few miles, yeah, for sure. Like she's always on my mind, and if there's ever a niggle or a doubt in my head, it's like that's the extra kick up the arse that I need to get me over the finish line.
It's funny, isn't it? You just go, well, they can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm in the position where I can do it, so I'll finish this thing it kills me. Where can people donate for you as well?
Yeah, so donate whatever you can if you can. I have a fundraising page online. I can give it to you after, but eventmaster.com, I think it's eventmaster.com. You can type in Jack Ebbs, you'll find my page, and like I said, every donation makes a huge difference to us. Additionally, you can go to cry.ie, you can make a donation online. I think there's a big button with capital letters that says donate now. So if someone is thinking about another challenge or event that they might want to do, they could think of Cry, or if you wanted to donate money, you could go to the website, hit donate. Additionally, you can get in touch with them at info@cry.ie or give them a call, because as we did say earlier, Cry is a self-funded charity. They receive no government funding, so they are dependent on people making donations, organising events. These things are crucial to. Without the funding, they can't provide these critical services that we've talked about. Additionally, they offer a helpline. They also offer emotional support packages for families who've gone through, losing a loved one. So, if any of this hits home with anyone that's listening, cry.ie, you can get all the information there.
You'd wonder, I'm just thinking as you say that though, with this no funding, with 2 people a week, that's 8 people a month, that's, you're just going, how is this not funded by the government? Yeah,
it's crazy. I think they're so lucky in a sense, because obviously we've been involved from such a my mom's been involved for so long, so me and my brothers have come up and we've always helped with fundraisers or pack goodie bags. So
it's been part of your life.
Yeah, but it's like an amazing community that they've kept with the families who have gone through this loss and have worked with Cry, because people have been fundraising for 10, 20 years, the same people coming back an awful lot, families and friends, organising everything for Cry. So I think those people obviously really appreciate the great work that Cry can do, and it says a lot that they keep coming back, and every year they'll organise reoccurring football competitions or reoccurring runs or music events, these things. And there's a lot of people I've heard names over the years that I'd recognise, that people are doing the same kind of events over and over again. Same with my brothers and me. If we get a chance to fundraise to do something, we'll always do it for Cry. So I think that kind of work is crucial, and that's the kind of
And I think as well, just for the people that have lost somebody through this, that there's that camaraderie and there's that, I suppose, understanding, because they meet people that have been through exactly the same thing. Yeah,
exactly that. And actually Cry even have a choir that's for people who've been through these lost ones, and they get together and obviously do singing and what other things the choirs do. But again, there's things like that they offer for families, and people can have a connection with someone because you have that common ground. You've been through that loss,
and quite often that gets lost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Jack, the best of luck with the old marathon, the little long run, as I like to call it, and the great work that you do for Cry.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Grief Pod with Venetia Quick. You can listen on SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcasts. We also have an online community on Facebook, The Grief Pod, or on Instagram @GriefPod Series.